scab for the bosses. Don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
All right. So while you are scaling the side of the White House to assassinate the president, I will then be causing a distraction by standing naked with 3 tons of expired oat milk in the town square.
Yeah.
And then we converge after the assassination and, I don't know, run away.
Run away. Well, and then Justin pulls up with the getaway car. We get in, full speed ahead.
Police are chasing us for sure at this point.
5 sure.
Yeah.
But, surprise, we crossed the border into Mexico. How did we get there so quickly from Washington, D.C.? Not important.
Don't ask.
Don't ask.
This is Remarks. It's our podcast, where we constantly are plotting the assassination of a president. For legal purposes, I'm not going to say which president.
Periodically. In a parody way.
Yeah.
That is also alleged.
Exactly. Like, allegedly, we're planning the assassination of the president.
According to some sources.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of allegedly in this episode, I feel.
Yeah.
Just from the general nature of it.
Yeah, lots of allegedlys, which I feel like I'm going to be like, allegedly, the truth is.
Allegedly, this is absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
My name is Moonshine.
My name is Tonks. And I'm a cute little greyhound.
You are a very cute little greyhound, and I'm a little tortoise shell cat.
Little torty.
Little tortoise shell, medium haired domestic cat. I don't know. People aren't that gnarly with cat breeds.
It's true. It's the whole thing of like, oh, what kind of dog is that? And it's like, oh, she's the X-race. It's like, what kind of cat is that? Brown.
It's brown and short. Yeah.
Orange kind.
I love an orange cat.
God, I love orange cats.
True. Love a Garfield looking ass little cat.
My childhood cat growing up was orange and so fat.
A fat orange cat.
Yep. She was like
Garfield.
Classic Garfield move.
Yeah. What a classic Garfield thing of her to
I
do,
know.
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of classic Garfield.
Kind of classic Garfield a little bit.
Yeah. Phoebe, do you want to kick us off today?
I will. For clarification, I am Phoebe, a human woman, and that is Taylor, a human man.
That is, if you were worried.
Yeah. Don't worry, the pets have not taken over the podcast yet, but Moonshine is like really inching closer and closer to the mic today, specifically today.
It's true. She sits on the edge of the table and stares off, and I don't know. I think she just likes feeling included. Yeah. Which is good. You're definitely included, baby.
You can make a statement if you want. So yeah, in reference to all the allegedlys, today we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So buckle in, bitches.
Exactly, our Epsteinisode.
Jeffery Epsteisode. So needless to say, it's going to be a little bit dark and big ass content warning for child sexual abuse, child sex trafficking, and rape of minors. And also people that aren't minors.
Just a lot of bad things.
Yeah,
so
pretty much just really shitty stuff.
If you want to sit this episode out, I wouldn't blame you.
We understand. Yeah. And also, I have a cat hair in my eye.
Oh no.
Also, as we disclose it as at like the front of a lot of our episodes, we are not experts in this. This is like what we've done with our research. Most of what we do is overviews. There's a ton of podcasts out there that have talked in depth about the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases. So if you want deep research, go check those out. Obviously, one that we love here is TrueAnon.
We do love a good
They do great job. They talk about a lot of stuff, and right now they're doing coverage on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial every day, and it is also every episode of that. They have like Patreon episodes, but every episode of that is free, so that's pretty dope.
True.
So anyway, there you go. That's my little beginning thing.
Also, if TrueAnon is listening,
hey guys,
hey call us about the
Please.
podcast, and then call us because y'all are cute.
Yeah, that part too. I did DM them on Instagram one time, just about, not like anything crazy. It was just about the Ghislaine Maxwell coverage. I was like, thanks for like making these for free, because it's like really nice to be able to have like upfront, everyday, coverage of this.
Did they message you back?
No.
Damn.
But it's
one time, this has nothing to do with the episode.
I mean, it's
one
fine.
time I tweeted High School Musical walked so Lemonade Mouth could run. and the Lemonade Mouth HQ Twitter account
Oh my god.
liked it and retweeted it.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
So I mean,
crazy.
am I famous?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
am I
yeah.
better than most people now that I am famous? Also kind of yeah.
Yeah, 100% yes.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
It's just how it is. Okay, so jumping into it. I think a lot of us are very aware who Jeffrey Epstein is, or have at least heard his name. With the Ghislaine Maxwell trial underway currently, his name has kind of started cropping back up in the media again. Jeffrey Epstein, if he is one of the most prolific pedophiles and sex traffickers in the entire world, with several mansions around the world, access to multiple high-profile schooling and business organizations, and incredibly chummy relationships with the elite. So how did he manage to fly under the public radar for so long? He was kind of just that rich guy in pictures next to Donald Trump. And then even when he was arrested in 2008, he didn't make too large of a splash and was kind of able to quietly sign this plea agreement and go right back to being a pedophile.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to get into it, but I know with like a lot of his like prior arrests for all this bullshit, like he was like under house arrest and got to like leave, and it's so fucking stupid. Yeah,
it's dumb as fuck and shitty and stupid.
And gay.
And also gay.
Yeah, we can say that. We're gay.
Yeah. This is a tangenty episode, but it's okay. Earlier this week, I need to actually tweet it out, but I was like, telling people to not call stuff gay because you're just a really good ally to calling everything gay because you are gay pipeline.
Absolutely. Tweets.
Gay.
Gay.
So on July 8th, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein becomes a household name. Returning back to New York after traveling to France, Jeffrey was greeted with several agents waiting for him when his private jet landed in New Jersey. Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking a minor and on conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking. It was after this and the subsequent holding of Jeffrey in the Metropolitan Correctional Center that he became national news and an unavoidable name. And it was in the Metropolitan Correctional Center that Jeffrey allegedly killed himself, hung from the top bunk of the cell beds by the sheets, and executed by tying the sheets around his neck and allegedly leaning forward on his knees with so much force that he was able to asphyxiate, it's a hard word, himself by kneeling, using jail cell sheets that are notoriously cheap and rip easily on purpose due to situations just like this. Anyway,
I have a feeling that you're not buying the whole suicide.
I'm 100% not.
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy it myself, but I just just knowing you as a person.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised.
I'm a Jeffrey Epstein suicide truther.
Absolutely.
Because and we're not going to get into it in this podcast. I specifically didn't go into that part just because we'd be sitting here. Yeah, and I don't know, we'd be sitting here talking for like 14 hours. So, but literally, like the bunk beds in jail cells are not tall enough so that people won't fucking hang themselves on that. And then also jail cell bed sheets are super, super thin and easy to rip because of this. And also it's like he had to kneel on the ground, tie the sheets around his neck, tie the sheets to the thing, kneel, and then lean forward, literally kneel so far forward that he was able to choke himself to death. I don't think so.
Yeah, seems a little weird. I know there was like also some other like sketchy shit about it, like how the footage went out, and then like
literally
the guards like just weren't there. Like I don't know. Like it does seem like there was some whack.
Yeah.
Whack things about it.
There was
I don't know.
some whack shit. There was some whack shit.
There was some fuck shit that happened.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
There was so much conspiracy, obviously, around the Jeffrey Epstein death that it led to massive conspiracy theories, branch cults, and podcasts.
Lots of podcasts.
Lots of podcasts. So let's start by talking about the first arrest and the plea deal, because I think that's really important to highlight how much bullshit that it was.
Mm-hmm.
So one of Jeffrey's many residencies was a place in Palm Beach, Florida, and the first arrest pertained to the acts occurring in this residence. Epstein was being investigated for child sex trafficking all the way back in 2005, and investigators had already spoken with 5 victims and 17 witnesses. These cases outlined how Jeffrey allegedly solicited young girls for massages, quote unquote, and would bring them back to the Palm Beach house with the promise of money for these massages. Once at the Palm Beach house, these massages would turn into rape, with Jeffrey either masturbating, touching the girls themselves, or using sex toys on the girls. A housekeeper of Epstein said that she had witnessed Jeffrey in the private massage room up to 3 times a day.
Jeez.
Which is insane.
That's absolutely unhinged.
Yeah. So in 2008, Jeffrey was arrested in Palm Beach, and he pled guilty to state charges of procuring a person under 18 for prostitution and felony solicitation of prostitution. For this, he did serve 13 months of jail time in, get this, a private wing of the jail, and he was still able to conduct his business during this sentence because rich.
Because rich.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like you were saying earlier, I mean, it was like he... Well, and I'll kind of get into it a bit more, but like the fact that he was even offered a plea deal for, again, they had spoken to 5 victims who were sex trafficked minors, and he was offered a plea deal, and then also got to have a special cute cell in the prison where he still, or jail, it wasn't a prison, where he was able to like still do his fucking business.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. And you know what else? It's so frustrating because, like, I remember when the Black Lives Matter protests and everything were happening, there was all these people that were talking about, like, anti-sex trafficking to, like, distract from it. Like, it was, like, a big move.
Yeah, the OUR shit.
Yeah, and it's like, but those are, it's the same people that are, like, I don't know, letting this stuff happen and letting billionaires be fucking stupid and exploit the system. I don't know.
Well, and it's the same people who supported Donald Trump who was fucking besties with Epstein.
Exactly.
And, like, obviously one of his biggest fucking customers.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, I remember there was like this beef where it was like, you know, all these liberals were like, well, Donald Trump was friends with him, and all these conservatives were like, well, Bill Clinton was friends with him, and it's like, they both suck. They're both awful.
They both are evil.
We should get rid of both of them by force.
Like, I'm not here to defend the Democrats that were a part of this either. I think all of them should get in trouble for raping children.
They were raping children.
Like, I don't think
I don't care which party you're part of.
God, it's so insane. Ooh, I had a feeling we'd get fired up for this episode. So after this 13-month incarceration, Jeffrey was released on a non-prosecution agreement that avoided him a life sentence. And this plea agreement stated, quote, that from 2001 to September 2007, Epstein conspired with others to knowingly persuade or entice minor females to engage in prostitution, conspired with others to transport minor females across state lines for the purpose of engaging in illicit sexual conduct, and knowingly recruited or enticed a minor across state lines or across countries so the person would engage in a commercial sex act, among other similar charges.
Yeah. Fuck him.
So this plea deal required Jeffrey to register as a sex offender and then pay restitution to the 5 victims. Which, again, it's just like, we're gonna register him as a sex offender? Is that gonna... Okay.
Is there any enforcement of that? Because he was obviously still doing it afterwards. Like,
for years.
Ugh, yeah.
And, like, what does that really do? Like, at least in the case of this guy who's like a fucking billionaire.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing too, is like, there's this weird because like there are pedophiles that exist that like prey on like elementary school age children, right? That does happen. But the majority of pedophilia is like older men, like in their, 20s and 30s with like 15 to 17-year-old girls, and like that is like the largest portion, I believe, I don't know the exact statistics of pedophilia. And it's like, being registered as a sex offender isn't necessarily going to be able to stop
Yeah.
this kind of like these kind of things from happening. Like, yeah, you can't live next to an elementary school,
Right.
but like that's if you're, I don't know. It just seems like that's not the issue they should be focusing on.
And Jeffrey's MO was literally to get these girls who were like, I mean, there was some who were young and for sure could have been elementary school age, but it was like 15, 16,
Exactly.
13, 17, you know, in that like
very like middle
tween
to high
and
school.
teen. Yeah. And it wasn't through like high schools and shit he was getting them,
Exactly.
or like friends' kids or something. Like he had he had channels literally set up for this, that it was like, it doesn't matter if he lives within 10 feet of a elementary
Yeah.
school, because that's not where he's.
When you have a private jet, it doesn't really matter where you
Exactly.
live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did I? Okay. Sorry. I named somebody and I just wanted to make sure that I said who he was. So Alexander Acosta, he was the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. He was the one that issued this plea deal, and he defended the sweetheart deal by saying that it caused more victims to step forward, which is fucking stupid.
I see.
He said, quote, "The bottom line is this. Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire, served time in jail and is now a registered sex offender. He has been required to pay his victims restitution. The restitution clearly cannot compensate for this crime." So, okay. He served barely over a year of jail time for this,
Yeah.
and now has been registered as a sex offender. And you're saying that that's good enough, Acosta? All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good, real protecting the community.
Yeah. Great job. So once released from this 13-month stint, Jeffrey went straight back to being a major piece of shit. And as I was saying about Alexander Acosta, it's worth noting that he went on to serve as labor secretary under Donald Trump.
Oh, the Costa guy?
Acosta, yeah.
Acosta. Yeah.
So,
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
It's almost like all of these people that are terrible just like know each other.
Weird. It's
Weird
weird
how that works.
happens.
Weird how it's like there's like this elite group of people who like got all their money from exploiting others and now are at the top of the chain and like are exploiting all of us.
Yeah.
Like
It's like it's like really weird and crazy how that happens.
kind of
I don't know.
strange. Yeah. Couldn't be capitalism's fault though.
For sure, no.
No.
Some notable quotes about Jeffrey Epstein from Trump are, he says, quote, this was in an interview in New York Magazine in 2002. He said, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Which is like, why would you fucking say that?
It's so weird.
The thing that gets me too is that like, especially with Donald Trump, but even like other people that were around Jeffrey that like allegedly were customers of his, say shit like that all the time about him. Like, oh, there's young women around all the time. And I'm like, what? Don't say anything. Like, you are, why would you bring it up?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
I feel like it's just one of those things where like they, and specifically fucking Epstein, got away with it for so long that like there's got to be a point where you're just like, oh, I can do anything I want. Like, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's good that they finally got him when they did, but it's like, it's just like, come the fuck on. It was like such an open secret. Like everybody was fucking saying things about it. It's like, it just, I don't know, bullshit legal system.
Yep. And yeah, it's just like so. It's like a big fucking slap in the face of him, of like Trump to say something cheeky of that, of like, oh, many of them are on the younger side, like knowing full well, you know, what he's a fucking part of. Anyway. So then after the arrest, Trump in an interview with the New York Times said that he had a falling out with Epstein, and says, "I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. I'm not a fan of his. That I can tell you."
After the arrest?
Yeah.
When does the quote that happened, was that before?
2002 was when he was like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean,
where he says, in the 2002 quote, he says, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. And then in the 2019 was when that arrest was. He says, "I haven't spoken to him in 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, dog, whatever you say.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, whatever, you know how Trump is, so it's dumb. But
Yeah.
So why, because of this plea deal and everything, why was there the famous New Jersey arrest and even more famous subsequent death of Epstein? If there was a plea agreement, why was Epstein able to be charged again on very similar counts?
Mm-hmm.
So, this 2009 plea deal only covered the charges of minor sex trafficking that occurred in Florida. And as we know, Jeffrey has residences in Florida, New York, and even has his own private island, Little St. James.
Excuse me.
You're excused. Therefore, any trafficking or rape that happened elsewhere was still subject to be used against him in a legal case. And so this is what allowed the FBI to conduct his final arrest in 2019.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Phoebe. Do you know what the FBI can't arrest?
There you go. Thank you. Products and services?
These products.
My brain was broken because I was like,
yeah, like how do I segue into these ads without sounding awful?
yeah, like a horrible person. Anyway.
Ads. We're just here talking about how terrible these people are. All of them.
Just the worst. The worst of the worst.
Actually, the worst of the worst.
Society's scum.
Literally, yeah. They're fucking I don't know. They're like the vampires of society.
Yeah.
Like they just leech off of everybody else and
Fully.
have a wake of destruction in their path.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's insane.
It's horrific. Absolutely horrific. So let's talk about him some more.
Let's do it. That's what we're here to do.
So, where did Jeffrey find these young women to coerce and traffic? So Jeffrey Epstein began his career and his ongoing proximity to the elite with his job at the Dalton Private School in New York City teaching math. He had basically lied his way into this position. He was not a teacher or a mathematician. He just kind of like started doing it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
The fucking like 70s and 80s were wild, dude. You could just, if you were confident enough, you could literally do anything you wanted.
Waltz in and you're like, I'm going to teach math now. And they're like, all right.
Maybe you can still, but like, I just feel like there's more things in place so that weird shit doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. And so then following his time at Dalton, Jeffrey entered the financial world, starting his career at Bear Stearns Investment Bank, and then from there opened up his own firm in 1982 called J. Epstein & Co. And it was in the financial world that Jeffrey Epstein found Leslie Wexner. Leslie Wexner is a big, gigantic piece of shit, and he's the founder of Limited Brands, also known as L Brands, Inc., which now is known as like several different umbrella names, which is probably due to the association with Epstein, because I tried to go to the L Brands website and it was like, if you're looking for information about Bath and Body Works or Victoria's Secret, it's under these subsidiaries or whatever. And I was like,
I see.
Yeah. So classic move. So Limited Brands owned Victoria's Secret, which, like I was saying, it's kind of something different now. But anyway, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, Lane Bryant, Limited 2, C.O. Bigelow, and several others.
Wow.
Lots of fucking shit. Leslie Wexner, rich as fuck.
Yeah, I can.
Like,
all those names, I mean,
yeah.
Wexner, I hardly knew her. Sorry. Anyway.
So Epstein began work for Wexner as his money manager and investments manager, and the two quickly developed an extremely close personal relationship. Oftentimes, Wexner would even, consult Jeffrey over, family, spend more time with Jeffrey than family. People said a lot that the relationship between Jeffrey and Leslie was, closer than anybody else's.
Damn.
And this relationship was outlined in a 2003 profile in Vanity Fair called, quote, "The Talented Mr. Epstein," written by Vicky Ward.
So talented.
Yeah. Which, like, not really.
No.
He's really, like, he wasn't very smart. He wasn't very cool. He never really did anything of note other than just have money and, like, know how to invest money well. That's it.
Yeah, and I've heard that, like, really, you know, like, he invested some money a little bit, but wasn't, like, most of his income coming from, like, the child exploitation, like, later on.
Yeah, and
so
then, it's, like, his child exploitation, and then, like, you know, and whether this is actually him working for these people or it was just, like, a cover for the child exploitation. It was, like, he did stuff, like, he worked with, like, really, really rich people, like, managing their accounts and everything, but, like, you know, what does that mean?
Though? Yeah.
Because, again, it's, like, he didn't really have that much of, like he didn't, like, go to...
background,
Yeah. Anyway... So in this profile, Epstein says about Wexner, quote, "People have said it's like we have one brain between the two of us. Each has a side."
There probably is only one brain between the two of them. They probably only make
fucking
up one
honestly,
brain,
though.
if
God
that.
damn. Yeah. So that, you know, clearly outlines, like, how close they were.
Mm-hmm. This
Vanity Fair profile is chilling, and it mentions several times Jeffrey's proclivity for young women. Wow, Phoebe. A paragraph quickly touches on the subject in a seemingly cheeky manner, and then pivots right back to business. So it says, quote, "Epstein is known about the town as a man who loves women, lots of them, mostly young. Model types have been heard saying they are full of gratitude to Epstein for flying them around, and he is a familiar face to many of the Victoria's Secret girls. One young woman recalls being summoned by Ghislaine Maxwell to a concert at Epstein's townhouse, where the woman seemed to outnumber the men by far. These were not women you'd see at Upper East Side dinners," the woman recalls. "Many seemed foreign and dressed a little bizarrely. This same guest, who also attended a cocktail party thrown by Maxwell that Prince Andrew attended, which was filled, she says, with young Russian models. Some of the guests were horrified," the woman says.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like, again, it's that weird thing where it's like, it's just kind of an open secret, like, and again, maybe, I guess there's, like, some plausible deniability that everybody was like, oh, we just thought he liked girls in their 20s, but it's like, come on, like, you're telling me that nobody fucking, like, everybody had to have known, everybody was buddy with Epstein, so they didn't say anything. Like, stupid.
It's stupid. Following this ominous paragraph, the article flows into a bit about Jeffrey's past mentors and his seedy business deals, but leaves us all with some hairs raised over the bizarre mention of mansions stocked with young women who may or may not have known how to speak English. So it's also worth noting that Maria Farmer, the victim of Jeffrey Epstein, who sent a cease and desist to Vicky Ward, she was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, and she sent a cease and desist to Vicky Ward about an article that she was writing about Epstein that included details about Farmer. So yeah, this Vicky Ward character is not, I don't know, she's fucking sketchy.
Yeah.
Basically. Maria Farmer, again, talking about TrueAnon, there's an episode that she came on, and just told the whole story basically, and she talks about Vicky Ward and just like the bullshit with Vicky Ward, and so Vicky was trying to write an article about Epstein, or like a podcast or a documentary or something. Anyway, what it was doesn't really matter, but she was including these details about Maria Farmer, and Maria Farmer was like, fuck no.
Yeah Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, because I know, like, because Maria Farmer and then her sister Annie Farmer were both involved. Because I'm going to talk about them in a little bit too.
Which that, oh god, it's just,
it's awful. It's terrible.
It's absolutely horrible. So Jeffrey's relationship to Les was beneficial for him in several ways, one of which became very apparent in a report from the New York Times that was super conveniently behind a paywall, so that was fun for me to try and
love that
navigate around that fucking shit. I hate that. Which it's like, we don't need to go off about this, but like, I understand that like independent journalism is difficult and like we should like support people and certain things, but you're the New York Times.
Yeah, I was gonna say the New York Times.
Like,
you got enough money. Yeah, like it's fine.
Like you can afford to pay your reporters a livable wage so that you don't have to put articles behind paywalls.
Exactly. And also it's like, do you know what kind of fucking, like, so many people read that shit? You know what kind of like ad money they make from just people, like, advertisements?
Exactly.
Like, there's
it's
no
the fucking
way.
New York Times. It is an unbelievably famous newspaper. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. It does not matter. Like, that's the whole point of, like, ads, right?
Yes.
Is to, like, so you can give things for free because you're paying for ad space.
Exactly.
So, like, I don't what the fuck?
Oh my god. Anyway, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Sorry about this screaming right into y'all's ears. Anyway, so in this report from New York Times, said that in May of 1997, Jeffrey coerced model Alicia Arden back to his hotel room by telling her that he was a scout for Victoria's Secret models. And this was easy to believe because of his close and mysterious relationship with Wexner.
Mm-hmm.
And according to a Santa Monica police report, he ordered Arden to undress, he groped her, and he told her he wanted to manhandle her.
Ew.
Yeah.
Weird. Also, it's just weird, too, because, like, Jeffrey Epstein's just a weird old guy.
He's a weird old guy.
At this point, he's a weird old dude and very creepy and very not cool.
Yeah, like I was saying, I mean, it's like he never really did anything of note besides this, of course, but it's like he was just kind of this ominous person in these pictures with all these famous people that it was like, oh, he's just this weird rich guy.
Yeah, and that's what makes it even harder to, like, believe that it wasn't, like, sketchy when he, like, gets busted for child exploitation and then just, like, goes back and starts doing it again. And it's like, seriously?
Yep.
Seriously? Like, he's just good now to keep doing it? Like, it's,
With 17 witnesses as well.
17.
Like,
yeah. It's, I'm going to lose my mind.
Me too. So Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell both used the Victoria's Secret connection to their advantage throughout their entire trafficking career. Victims have made statements saying they didn't question the legitimacy of Epstein or Maxwell being scouts because, again, the proximity to Wexner and because these girls were young and they needed money and they had dreams of being models. I mean, somebody tells you, oh, it's somebody you know or you've seen friends with Leslie Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, tells you, oh, I can get you whatever, like an audition to be a model.
Exactly.
Why would you question that, you know?
You're going to be like, oh, yeah, of course, you're rich and know this guy. I'm sure you can.
Right, exactly. So this Wexner connection was also used to lure Maria Farmer, who I mentioned. She was an artist, and actually she still is an artist, and she's done a lot of paintings based on what she went through with the whole Epstein thing. So he used this to lure her into the clutches of him and Ghislaine. She was told that she had been commissioned for a painting by Wexner and that she could come stay at one of Wexner's properties while she worked on it. And this is where she would remain trapped for years and used by Jeffrey and Ghislaine for rape.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. It's horrible. Again, that on the True Non episode that she came on, she tells her whole story, and it's I don't want to use the word unbelievable because it's the truth, but it's just so like the level of depravity is just fucking unreal.
Yeah, it's horrific.
It's
oh
horrific.
My gosh, yeah.
One of Jeffrey's other well-known access points to young women was the Interlochen Center for the Arts. This was a boarding school and a camp in Michigan. He was a donor to the school in the 1990s, and then he eventually established his own secluded cabin on the premises. And it was in this cabin where he would lure the young girls at the camp and then rape them. And this went on for years, not only using the camp as a cabin, or not only using the camp and cabin as a private spot for raping his victims, but he also used the camp to coerce girls into joining him at his other residencies. Ugh. You know, same kind of idea. Like with this one specifically, because it was like this art camp kind of thing, he would be like, oh, well, you know, I can get your art here. I can get you into acting here. I can do this and this and this, because he was this rich guy who was friends with the elite. Exactly.
And you're gonna be like, oh, you can, you know, this is my big break or whatever. Like, you're gonna believe it.
Well, and again, like, he was supposedly kind of a mentor at this camp. He had his own private cabin there. Like, he was involved with the things going on at the camp. He would hang out around there. And so it's like, of course you're naturally gonna trust this adult who is allegedly, like, involved with, you know, this camp that you're at.
Ugh. Yes. I think it's just the, like, gross abuse of power and, like, because You know, like it's because he was so wealthy, the scale that he could do this at is what's like really upsetting to me.
Yes.
And just the fact that like everybody knew and just didn't do a goddamn thing, and it is really depressing.
Yeah, it is. Well, and he would like specifically go after girls who, you know, obviously were young, girls who they had like an estranged relationship with their parents, girls who were in financial distress, like, you know, like, which I think a lot of like predators do. They'll look for like that weakest link or whatever, and he specifically would seek out these girls who were in need of something, and so felt a need to go to Jeffrey, which this is off the cuff, but again, true and on. But in one of the episodes, and I think it was from the Ghislaine trial, this girl was sharing her story, and she was saying that she called her mom and told her mom about what was happening, and her mom said basically like, you can't do anything about this because you don't understand like what Jeffrey's done for us, because he was giving the family so much money.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
which like is obviously horrible and some fucking fucked up shit on the mother's part. But like, you know, this is the thing. It's like you find these families and these girls who are in very vulnerable situations and exploit the shit out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Evil. Genuinely evil. Okay, so at this interlocking camp, this is where one of his victims, she's not been named, and she's instead being called Jane Doe. She was recruited at just 13 years old, and she was raped for over 4 years. The first abuse occurred with Maxwell present. It was in the pool house at Interlochen, and Jeffrey, again, sorry, you know, heavy content warning throughout this whole episode, but Jeffrey put Jane on his lap and then proceeded to masturbate. When Jeffrey Epstein introduced Jane to Donald Trump, he said, "This is a good one, right?" To which Trump responded by smiling and nodding in agreement. So,
yep, nasty.
Like, the man's very involved. So to close up, I just want to quote from the memoir of Virginia Roberts, who is one of the most well-known victims of Epstein. You may also know her by the name Virginia Jeffries. That's her name now. She's married. Virginia Roberts is what she was known as during
when the
her
abuse
time with
took
Jeffrey.
place.
Yeah, when the abuse took place. Thank you. So she's written a whole memoir about the abuse she endured and the ways she tried to rationalize and justify what she had experienced in her mind, because, you know, that's a very common thing with victims. So she says, so she's talking about a situation where Jeffrey and Ghislaine raped her, and she says, "I was still in shock from the initial degrading blow. I hadn't even let the reality sink in. It was all too much for me emotionally to handle, so instead I hid behind my fears, which I told myself I wasn't ever going to be worth anything at all, and that this was probably as good as it gets for me. After all, I thought, what have I been trained for up until now? Nobody ever stopped to ask if I was comfortable or if I wanted to stop." So then she says, "I let everyone else take the power of authority from myself and use me in whatever way he or she wanted, instead of standing up and giving myself the respect I deserved, which in turn would have helped me get through my life without all of the abuse I ended up copping. Not given the belief in myself from an early age on, I suppose, is what affected my sense of control, always letting the ones with power and strength reduce my inner self to shreds until I was cut so tiny in size I would be completely subdued to only their wants and needs, left ignoring mine. The men I had encountered in my short experience with them only repeated their inflictions, convincing me there was no running away from the sick world I lived in, not yet understanding it all came down to the choices I had." And then, let me just find the other bit right here. Son of a bitch, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah,
here it is.
Heavy stuff.
She says, "My life was being transformed and I didn't even know it yet, but soon enough I would be a brainwashed tool only used for the sexual pleasure of others. About to be entrapped in the same life I had broken free from only months ago. Convincing myself in order to succeed, I had to step up from being a girly teenager and start thinking like a young woman. It would be my ticket to a great career and a fortunate life. I told myself, so what if I had to bargain my body to this rich old geezer? Some girls get themselves through college by becoming a stripper and using their bodies to pay for degrees. Others go down even worse paths. I guess it was just another way to fathom the road I was going down. The effectiveness of the lies I forced myself to believe was working as I continued to tell myself I had to make it in any way I could rather than ever letting myself sleep on the streets again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that, like, I mean, the kind of, like, mental gymnastics that you can, like, see that she explains that she, like, had to go through. It's just very unfortunate, you know.
Because it's so shocking. And I think there's a part of it as well. I mean, there's so much shame surrounding rape and sexual assault that, like, you want to convince yourself that, like, somehow it's okay that this is happening, or somehow I've done something to make this happen. And yeah, it's just like, I mean, hearing her literal, like, thoughts behind everything is just really, like, really obviously heartbreaking, but really profound, and says a lot about how this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough.
Yep.
I think we should take a little break.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then we'll come back and hear about
some more bad stuff.
Some more bad people. Anyway.
Ads.
All right, we are back.
Hey guys.
We're as sexy as ever, really.
I think we got sexier in that time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we mentioned this on other podcasts, but the more you podcast, the sexier you get.
It's 100%
true,
true, and it's actually been proven by science.
Yeah. Bill Nye, pretty sure, did that big study on it.
He did, yeah. There's been multiple, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. Like peer-reviewed studies that like have proved that. Yeah, for sure.
Look it up if you don't believe us.
Look it up, fucking dorks.
Bitch.
Everybody knows to keep an audience, you have to constantly
berate
them.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what the audience
you
loves.
Little fucking bitches.
Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you have like a nice sultry voice. I'm sure there are some people out there that would quite enjoy it.
Fucking little bitches.
Yeah, exactly. People are getting their rocks off right now, Phoebe. Don't even get me started.
What is happening? Why does it always get like this?
It's just how we are. I don't know.
It's true. Oh, God. My dad finally started listening to the podcast, and our last episode was, like, the one I, like, sent to him because I was like, oh, it's, like, music. You love Marvin Gaye. Like, this is a good place to start or whatever. And then I remembered, like, how much sexual, like, content we had in that last one. I was like, enjoy.
Talked kind of about cum a lot, yeah.
Kind of a lot.
Like, kind of a lot. More than we probably should have.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
But there's no going back.
Absolutely not.
Because I'm pretty sure that once something's recorded, there's not any way to, like, edit it. Like, there's no way to, like, edit audio and podcasts. Like, you have to just, like, keep everything in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, folks.
Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, Ghislaine. I mean, fuck her stupid name. I don't give a shit how to pronounce her
I'll pronounce her name different this entire time.
Good, do. Every single time you say it.
Ghislaine Maxwell was born on December 25th, 1961. An old Christmas baby.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. That's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah.
Already, day one of Ghislaine, she's a fucking weirdo.
She's a fucking strange person, yeah.
All right.
Daughter of Robert Maxwell and Elizabeth Maxwell. Being born into a wealthy family, she was basically raised to be a prominent socialite in European society, living in a 53-room mansion known as the Headington Hill Hall.
Jesus Christ.
When growing up. So already kind of a rich asshole from the time she was a child.
Yeah.
This was kind of a random fact that I felt bad because, you know, I know that, like, beauty standards aren't specific to, like, class, right? Like, you know, rich people can have beauty standard issues as well. So it's like, but, so this fact, according to Ghislaine's mother, in a book that she published, Ghislaine suffered from anorexia at the age of 3 or 4.
Oof.
Which does give a little bit of insight as to the health, you know, her environment growing up, if that's something. Because I feel like at age 3 or 4, like...
That's intense.
Yeah, like, you got to be having some, like, feel like that's kind of on the parents at that point. Like you don't have enough outside influences to like have an eating disorder from a different source, I feel,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
The ABC News documentary that I watched describes her father as a cutthroat businessman who was ruthless about expanding his media empire into the United States from Europe. Ghislaine got her first job from her father managing a football team when she was only 22 years old.
Jesus Christ.
And I think it's football like soccer.
Yeah,
in Europe.
European football.
Yeah. And would soon begin working under him at his newspaper, The European, as well as wanting jobs at the United States publication owned by him called the New York Daily News. Robert Maxwell turned up dead after a cruise he decided to take on his private yacht all by himself in November of 1991. Though the official cause of death was accidental drowning, it is suspected by the Maxwell family that foul play was involved.
That's right.
And it very well could have been. I didn't look too much into Robert Maxwell since I was talking about Ghislaine, but I mean, he sucked, so there's a possibility someone killed him.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're gonna suck, you might get murdered.
Watch out.
Yeah. Robert Maxwell is suspected of having Ghislaine aid him in a con, stealing about $200 million
Jesus Christ.
dollars or euros from the Berlitz shareholders in 1990, as well as embezzling employee severance and pensions before he died. So,
fucking
stand-up guy.
Yeah.
But in like a lot of the coverage I saw, like this was a super big embarrassment for like the Maxwell family, and they were like, their name had been disgraced or whatever is what they were saying, and it's like, I don't necessarily think that's true. Like if you have a shitty dad, you don't necessarily have to be shitty. Like, but I don't know. It's just that kind of elite thing where it's like the people have to all be upstanding or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert Maxwell quote that I came across in the research that I thought was kind of funny was, the thing that I would most like to see invented is a way of teaching children and grown-ups alike the difference between right and wrong. And I thought that was funny for somebody who stole like $200 million.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, Robert.
And again, it's just, this kind of shit that fucking
rich people
stay. Friends of good old J. Ep have stated that he and Ghislaine met sometime in the 1980s after Robert Maxwell had introduced them. And another source stated that Epstein referred to Ghislaine as his main girlfriend sometime in the 1990s. So we know that they dated and had an intimate relationship, but also that Epstein was never content with just dating Maxwell. One of the like moral questions that I kind of came back to or kept thinking about during the research was if we would consider Maxwell kind of a victim of Epstein's manipulation as well. Not that it would make her crimes any less heinous, but I do think that it's kind of an interesting question to ponder because of the influence that he seemed to have on her. I don't know. It's just like, I guess, something to think about because it does seem like they were dating and then obviously they kind of weren't dating later on and they were more just like friends or business associates, but maybe they still were in a romantic relationship, and but it does... I don't know.
I feel like also, like, there is, which, I mean, I think that it is, like, important to consider that because there were girls, under Epstein who recruited other girls, and that was, like, obviously a manipulation thing that they honestly, like, probably didn't really have a choice in,
Yeah.
But, like, I just think with Ghislaine, it's, like, she's already rich, elite socialite. She's already, like... There's nothing I think that she needed from him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or to the point where he could, like, be putting her in positions that she couldn't get herself out of, kind of. Like, and I know there's emotional and, like, whatever, but I don't know. I just think, and especially based on, like, her as a person and the way she talks and everything, it's just, like...
True. No, you're absolutely correct. I almost think, like... Maybe manipulation isn't the right word, and maybe she was just really into Epstein and, like, was willing to do anything for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, anyway, Maxwell worked for Epstein throughout the 90s and up until his death, hiring and firing employees from his estate and being somewhat of a personal assistant to Epstein. Epstein once referred to her as his best friend, which further points to the fact that she may have been involved or complacent in his unsavory activities, allegedly, but also most likely definitely.
Yes.
But again, for legal purposes, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Basically, anybody Epstein knew, she also knew, and vice versa. And because Maxwell was such a girl boss, she was trained as a helicopter pilot, would often transport Epstein to his private Caribbean island, which was the...
Little St. James.
Exactly. The rape island.
Yep.
The one where all the rapes happened.
Yep. As well as the plane... Was it the plane was called the Lolita Express?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
is,
it's like very on the nose there.
Yeah, real on the nose. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like horrifying.
Just remembered that.
I think it was the plane. It was either a plane or a boat. I'm 99% sure it was the plane called the Lolita Express. Like, you fucking piece of shit.
Piece of shit. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So this part will probably overlap with yours a little bit, but I think it's okay to review for the sake of telling both stories. In January of 2015, a civil lawsuit was held accusing Maxwell of recruiting an underage girl in 1999 for sex with Jeffrey Epstein. I always personally hate how media coverage shies away from saying exactly what happened, so I'm going to say it. They allege that she helped Epstein groom and rape a child, which we've been saying this whole time, but you know, I feel like a lot of the news coverage is like the exploitation of these young women and stuff, and it's like, no, they were children, and it was rape.
Yeah, like, say what it is.
Yeah, don't pussyfoot around it.
Yeah,
like,
which, I don't know, and not to tangent, but like, I honestly don't even know how I feel about the word like sexual assault as like, I don't know, I don't know, but I'm just like, it's rape, like, call it rape.
Yeah, his was definitely rape. Like, yeah. This accuser would come out later as Virginia Giuffre, I think is how you say her name. Jeffrey. Oh, yeah.
It's spelled different.
I didn't look up the pronunciation.
I mean, that's okay.
Virginia Jeffrey, there we go. Who Maxwell later accused of lying. Jeffrey would sue Maxwell, settling out of court with in Jeffrey's favor. Though the details of the settlement were unknown, it is said that Maxwell paid her millions. So, good. Glad that she got at least some money out of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't
if anything, you know.
Yeah, and doesn't change the horrific things that she went through.
Yeah.
But it's the least that could be given to her.
Exactly.
But yeah, so already not looking too hot for our dynamic duo here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next to come forward was a Maria Farmer, who filed an affidavit alleging that she and her 15-year-old sister were sexually assaulted by not only Jeffrey Epstein, but also Maxwell. Because the Maxwell case is still ongoing, it's not yet known what she will be convicted of, and we probably won't ever know the extent of her abuse.
Yeah.
But it is alleged that she was also involved in the sexual assault of many of the women, or girls. It was alleged that after the sexual assault, Maxwell threatened Farmer's career and then her life. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing like threatening to murder someone if they tell about the horrific sexual assault.
Yeah.
They went through.
Yeah. Just a evil fucking bitch.
Stand up gal.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she's fucking awful. And again, it's just like poster child for fucking rich ass privilege, dude. Like, it's so frustrating.
Yep.
Other cases involving Maxwell include Priscilla versus Epstein Estate, Annie Farmer versus Epstein Estate, 2 Jane Does versus Epstein Estate, as well as a Maxwell versus Epstein Estate, where she asked for compensation for the legal fees from her employer, Jeffrey Epstein.
Ghislaine asked for money from Jeffrey?
Yeah. At least his estate. I didn't actually look up when that one took place, but he might have been dead. But
fuck you. You're so goddamn stupid.
You're so rich, like.
And you literally no. You don't get like coverage for your legal fees for doing, like, helping him do heinous fucking acts to children.
Exactly.
No. You don't get to sue.
Insane.
You don't get to sue the guy you were helping rape children.
It's so
sorry, Ghislaine.
Insane.
That's not how it fucking works.
Fuck you, Ghislaine. No, you don't get to do that. Yeah, it's so insane.
I hope If there's any sort of afterlife, I hope she fucking burns in the deepest depths of hell and never fucking... I hope she feels the absolute worst guilt, and I know she doesn't feel that in her life, in her living life, but if there's fucking whatever in afterlife, I hope she fucking is tortured every goddamn day.
I agree.
Ooh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I concur completely. So this really goes to show how much loyalty that any of these elites really have to one another. Just the fact that she would sue Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
But that's capitalism for you, baby.
Exactly.
In July of 2019, Maxwell and her lawyers were fighting to keep documents from the earlier Jeffrey case sealed from the U.S. Court of Appeals, and the documents were eventually released, providing a deposition given by Jeffrey, and more recent email exchanges between Epstein and Maxwell versus the ones they had prior. So they were like, maybe not recent now, obviously, because Epstein's dead, but like more so recent. But yeah, this is going to be an excerpt from the deposition, which was with Ghislaine Maxwell, not Jeffrey in this instance. I should say Virginia Jeffrey.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because there were some of like her depositions that were in like those documents as well. But we're gonna read some of Maxwell's depositions. There was a great episode of TrueAnon. Mention him again. Shout out. Where they went over like this whole thing. So definitely listen to that episode. But we're gonna talk a little bit about it. So let's jump into it. So this question is, so Miss Maxwell, when did you first recruit a female to work for Mr. Epstein? And then Mr. Pagluca I believe, was Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer. He says, again, I object to G. Maxwell, confidential, form and foundations of the question. Question from the person giving the deposition. You can answer the question. Answer from Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, can you please clarify the question? I don't understand what you mean by female. I don't understand what you mean by recruit. Please be more specific or clear and specific about what you are suggesting. Question, are you a female? Is that the sex that you are? Answer, I am female. That's what I'm referring to, a female. And I'm asking you when the very first time you recruited a female to work for Mr. Epstein. Answer from Maxwell. Again, I don't understand what female. I am a 50-year-old woman. Question, I'm not making it age. Any age of a female that you recruited to work for Mr. Epstein. Answer, again, I was somebody who hired a number of people to work for Mr. Epstein, and hiring is one of my functions. Question, and when is the first time you hired someone to work for Mr. Epstein, a female? Answer, as best as I can recollect, a woman the age of probably about 40 or 50 was in sometime in 1992. And that's just like a small taste of like the pure frustration that is listening to Ghislaine Maxwell speak, especially when she's like in trouble.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. I don't know what you mean by female. What do you fucking... What the fuck do you mean? Do you know what a woman is, Ghislaine?
Just the fucking like, you yourself are a female. Is that correct?
That's
yes.
your sex.
That's your sex, right? And she's like, yes. And it's like, all right, so when did you hire a female? I don't know what that means. It's like the fucking meme. It's like that fucking Patrick meme with fucking Man Ray when he's like, you're Patrick Starr. Yes. And I pulled this license out of this wallet. Yes. So this is your wallet. No, it's not my wallet. It's like, it's the same fucking thing.
Literally it.
It's the same fucking thing.
Oh, I hate her so fucking much. I had to pull away from the microphone so I stopped screaming at you guys.
Inciting violence against Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes.
That's
yes.
We'll have to take the legal issue on this one because we are in fact inciting violence.
Fuck that fucking bitch. God damn it. Fuck all of these people. Oh my God. Okay.
All right. Now, Phoebe, if
Yes.
you, as someone that we would call part of the proletariat, were to run away after being served a lawsuit, do you think that you would get in trouble?
Yes, very much I would get in trouble.
Do you think that would be maybe evading arrest?
Yes, I do think that would be considered evading arrest.
Do you think you would probably be put into jail as well as probably given a longer sentence for that action?
Yes, I do think that.
You would be correct on all of those suggestions, but you also, well, I mean, I guess I didn't ask you this question, but that is because you're not rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Ghislaine has this funny way of disappearing whenever she was served a lawsuit. And I just think it's funny how rich people can just do that.
Yep.
You know?
You can just fucking cross state lines,
Exactly.
cross country lines, just fucking peace out whenever you're in trouble for being one of the world's most prolific sex traffickers and rapers ever.
Exactly. She was in hiding in 2017, and private investigators were hired to track her down. And once Epstein was arrested, she went into hiding again, more recently. For legal purposes, I'm not saying that she's guilty, but hiding after your boss's arrest doesn't scream innocent.
Yeah.
She was eventually tracked down on July 2nd of 2020 after making multiple phone calls and authorities using a stingray to track her location, which, like, isn't that like part of hiding 101 is like you get like a burner phone,
Yeah.
right? Like, I was going to say, because like, I feel like we know, like, just from the protests, like, you don't use traceable shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
She's like speed dialing Jeffrey from her fucking iPhone.
well, yeah, and he had, believe
he was dead already
He was
at this
dead
point.
at this point, but she had like called her family and stuff, and like she had made like 3 calls and then didn't like, because again, like if you're on the run, if you're a fugitive, if you will, you get like a burner phone, you call who you need to, then you throw the burner phone away and you get out of there. Like that's, everybody knows that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen, and obviously things aren't like they are in the movies, but I've seen enough movies to fucking know how to use a burner phone.
Literally. I mean, I feel like that's just kind of obvious.
You would think.
And she's
And she has enough money to buy a burner phone. Like
as many burner phones as she fucking wants. She could use the burner phones to send
many burner phones.
1-letter text message from all across all the different burner phones, 1 letter each, throw it in the trash, and then eventually the person will have to put all those letters together to figure out what she's trying to say. And she could have done that on as many burner phones as she wanted.
She has no limit to the burner phones.
Absolutely not.
So I mean, first of all, she's awful,
Yeah.
and she's stupid. So, you know,
just the worst of the worst.
it's like I can't even be like, damn, that was a smart move,
Yeah.
Ghislaine. Like, no, it's like you're fucking
You're just a
dumb,
dumb
and you're a
bitch.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're doing great.
we're all right. We're all right. Maxwell was charged with enticement of minors, sex trafficking, and perjury, totaling up to 6 federal crimes, all of which she denies, of course.
Yep.
She attempted to be released on bail, but, get this, was seen as an extreme flight risk.
What? Really?
And her lawyers are still arguing that she should be let out on bail after hiding from the authorities. She's so stupid.
Oh my God.
She's currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. On March 29th, 2021, additional charges for sex trafficking and perjury were added to the list. Now, maybe I'm a terrible person, but this part made me laugh really hard. But Maxwell's lawyers were arguing or petitioning that her imprisonment was unfair because she was like being punished for like what happened with Epstein. Because security was shining a light in her face every 15 minutes to deter chances of suicide at night. And they wouldn't give her like a face mask to put on. So every 15 minutes they like her shining a light in her face. And I don't often side with like prisons or
No.
like authorities, but honestly, like this one, I'm kind of like,
I mean,
yeah,
because of course.
Like
the man's her fucking bestie in crime allegedly committed suicide, like however fucking couple years ago.
Exactly.
So
it's like,
yeah, of course.
There's a good chance.
Ghislaine?
There's not. I don't think that they're unfounded expectations.
Yeah. Also, oh my god, I'm so sorry that you had a light shined in your face. That must be really hard for you.
I just feel like I could tell that she was really upset about it.
Yes.
And her lawyers were like, "All right, I guess we'll argue for you to not have that happen."
Exactly.
And like that just keeps happening. And
Yeah,
honestly,
they
it
were
kind
like,
of
God damn it.
it just gives me a lot of joy to
Yeah.
know that like she's really bothered that every 15 minutes she gets a flashlight shined in her face.
She calls her lawyer. She's like, "This is a disgrace."
Exactly. She's like, "I cannot live like this." Well, so Maxwell started the trial for sex trafficking charges on November 15th, 2021. And now we get into some of the legal fun that we're dealing with during the trial.
Mm-hmm.
To save you and the listener the boring details of court proceedings, I will just be highlighting some of the key points of the trial.
Word.
The defense team called an Elizabeth Loftus to the stand, who is a false memory expert, to basically say that some people don't remember things correctly, so the victims are probably misremembering the situation and just making a silly, goofy mistake. Yeah, it's, good old false memories, which I feel like, when they talk about, like, false memories, it's like you misremember, like, the order of events of something, or, like, you misremember, like, the exact dialogue. It's like, you don't misremember that you were sexually assaulted and raped. Like,
no.
That's something I think you probably, like...
And especially given the context as well. I mean, nobody's going to fucking forget that or make it up.
Exactly.
A. B, like, it's the context of it all. It's like you flew on a fucking little plane to this guy's island. You're hanging out in a gigantic mansion with all this fancy stuff. There's all these fancy people around. Like, you're not going to... It's not... No.
You're not going to make up this memory.
No.
Like, this is probably one of the biggest moments of your life at that point.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Her former executive assistant, Kimberly Espinosa, who worked for her from 1996 to 2003, claimed that she looked up to Maxwell and testified she never saw any child abuse take place when she was working there.
Oh.
This part gets kind of heavy, so again, content warning.
Mm-hmm.
The unnamed first victim brought to testify broke down into tears, saying that Maxwell showed her how Epstein liked to be massaged and would sometimes take part in the abuse when the accuser was only 14 years old. Maxwell's defense team found that she was now working as an actor and stated that because of that, she could cry on command, implying that the emotion that was shown was fake. Which, again, is the most evil thing I think I've ever heard in my entire life. Pretty terrible.
Okay.
The prosecution...
Fuck all of you. Fuck every single fucking person involved in the defense. Fuck you. Go to hell. I hate you.
You're all a piece of shit.
You're a gigantic piece of shit, and you deserve to have a bad life. I don't like you.
I don't like you. I hope you fucking die. Hope your house burns down. By mistake, like an accidental burn down. Not implying that I am going to commit arson on your house, although watch yourself. So the prosecution brought in Jeffrey's massage table into the courtroom, as well as uncovered some photographs displaying how close Maxwell and Epstein were showing them in friendly, intimate poses together, combating any belief that Maxwell was simply a distant working associate of Epstein's and not a close friend. And finally, Annie Farmer took the stand and stated Maxwell had groped her breasts during a massage when she was 16 years old. She also stated that she had a sense that Epstein was nearby watching during the encounter. And again, that is, that's not there's no proof that was happening, like that Epstein was watching, obviously.
Right.
But that's just what Annie Farmer said she had a feeling about.
Which I would believe.
I would also believe. Those are some of the updates from the trial, and more is obviously yet to come. I feel like we can absolutely give some updates
Totally.
in future episodes.
Yeah.
If everybody is still wanting to hear more about this.
Yeah.
Again,
The prosecution has rested.
yes.
So that bit's over. The defense is now going. So yeah, it's not coming to an end anytime like super super soon, but I think we'll start getting
Progress
some
coming through.
answers.
Yeah, and I know that like Ghislaine said that she wasn't going to testify
That's right.
in her defense, which
Yeah.
is surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah. Basically, fuck Jeffrey Epstein, fuck Ghislaine Maxwell, both pieces of trash.
Gigantic
and
horrible piece of shit.
I am sorry that Epstein didn't have to face his crimes
Yep.
for one reason or the other.
Yep.
And I hope Ghislaine feels the sorrow that she caused every single one of those girls that were raped.
Yep. I hope if there's any fucking moral bone in her body, I hope she is suffering so greatly with the fucking heinous, horrible shit she did to these people. I hope the guilt makes her physically fucking
Eating her
ill.
away, yeah.
God damn it. I hate these people so fucking much. And, you know, and we didn't even get into the black book shit and who he was with, but, you know, it's like, fuck all those. We got fucking Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, fucking Bill Clinton, fucking the Obamas were named. I don't know what their involvement was, but they were named. Like, fuck you. God damn it. I hate this fucking country. I hate rich people. I hate that this is a thing that, like, is just allowed to happen because these people are rich and elite, and it's so fucking evil, and everybody fucking in that level of eliteness is conspiring alongside this to let it keep happening, and fuck all of you, and I hope that you all have horrible fucking lives. God damn it.
Guillotine. Let's pull a French
Yes,
and
I mean,
revolt. I mean, yeah, it's like, well, and that's why it's so obvious to me that like QAnon is a bunch of bullshit, because it's like we're seeing the repercussions of literally elites exploiting children.
Yes.
But nobody in QAnon is talking about this Jeffrey Epstein shit or the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Yep.
It's all fucking Robert Kennedy's not dead and the shadowy cabal who, again, are never named. And it's like, again, if you want to make a fucking difference, revolt.
Yes.
Like, literally organize.
Oh, and I think we've talked about this, like, on multiple occasions, but it's just, like, it's so frustrating to me. I'm like, it's all right there. Like, you can do conspiracy theories and shit, and, like, guess what? There is a pedophile ring run by the elite. So focus on the real one, maybe, so we can actually get shit done.
Do something
because if
about it.
all of the fucking, like, organization that y'all have and all of the time and effort that you fucking put focusing on some fake person on Reddit telling you that there's babies in a pizzeria, if you would take all of that action or all of the action that you had at the Capitol and turn it around to actually fucking make a difference to what these people are doing to these children, you could actually be helping people. But you are too fucking tied up in thinking you're better than everybody and conspiracy theories and whatever the fuck and not liking Democrats to give a fuck about what you actually say you stand for.
Yeah. It's it's terrible, but no, you summed it up literally perfectly there. Actually, there's no.
Thank you.
I don't know that I could say anything else to follow that up.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, fuck rich people and organize.
Yep.
And if you are playing Minecraft and you happen to make a fake Ghislaine Maxwell house in Minecraft.
Yes.
And throw a Molotov cocktail on it.
Yes.
I'm fully in support of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
In virtual reality only.
Absolutely in Minecraft.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, let's do some plugs.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. I hope y'all are doing well.
Yes, go do some self-care after this episode. Listen to things that are nice. Remember that there is actually good things in the world, because there is.
True. Pour yourself a nice
Shiraz.
Yeah. Is that a champagne?
It's a wine. It's like a wine I know. I'm not a big fan of that one.
Pour some wine. Maybe a nice brewski.
Yeah.
If you would, like a, you know, like when they like dip the glasses in water and then you freeze them. like the water on it, and then you pour the beer in that, and it's just
God,
nice and like cold, and you're like, fuck yeah.
Do that.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that for yourself.
Absolutely.
If you haven't ever done that before, do yourself a favor and try it.
It's super awesome.
If you're under the age of 21,
we technically don't condone it.
But you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I can't stop you.
I can't control you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my place.
So if you want to follow our Instagram, it's always so awkward to do this at the end of like really heavy episodes, but whatever. It's part of the thing.
It's part of the thing.
Anyway, so if you want to follow our Instagram, it's @RemarksPodcast. If you want to follow our TikTok, it is the same, @RemarksPodcast.
I run the Twitter account, which is @RemarksPod on Twitter. And then also leave us a review on Apple Podcast Stizzles as well.
Please.
I have a YouTube channel called The Lefty Agenda. And Phoebe, do you want to talk about our newest installment into social media?
Yes. So if you were listening last week, as we mentioned at the end of our episode, we have a fucking Patreon now, bitches. And we've got 2 whole ass subscribers. So fucking shout out to Justin and our new subscriber, Emily, who we fucking love. I want to give you a big sloppy kiss on the cheek. And
True.
And yeah, we are gonna go record a new episode for our Patreon right now as soon as we're done doing this, and it's gonna be fun and funny. So listen to that after this, so you can laugh a little bit. And we've got 1 episode on there already. So subscribe. It's $5 a month. We're gonna do some sick shit on there, some bonus eps, some ad-free stuff. We're working on merch. So yeah,
it's gonna be fun, and you get all the bonus episodes at the $5 tier, and you'll continue to get them. And
yes.
We're doing about 2 every month, so I feel like that's a pretty good amount of content.
Agreed.
And we didn't. I know with my thought behind it was like I want to keep like the informational stuff that I think is helpful like free for anybody to listen to, of course. But if you want more content and more like fun stuff that we're gonna be talking about, that's not as heavy and not as like factual. Subscribe, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well.
Other than that. Okay.
Wait, thanks for listening.
Was there another one?
Oh, I just had to say thanks for listening.
Okay, love you. Bye.